But yeah, I guess we'll just have two of me because I'm not deleting my other me now. They're just part of the world. Hello, self. How are you? They don't have much to say yet. They're still in shock that they were born at all. Anyway, here's the mid-year freakout tag. Let's get to it because I don't know. I feel like I have a lot to say. A lot to say. Okay. The best book that I have read this year. If you've watched all of these or gone to every stream of these, you probably already know. It is Spellbound by F.T. Lukens. Yay! I love this book so much. Holy crap! I just bought like the hardcover version at the bookstore the other day. Yay! I received this book as an advanced reader's copy from NetGalley, and I loved it. I loved it so much. It's a story about found family. It's a story about witches. It's a story about magic and cats. And it's just great. It's comfy. It's cozy. I cannot recommend it enough to people. Hold on, let me find. Yeah, it's a great piece of young adult fantasy, and it's about Rook, who has recently become an apprentice to the witch Antonia Hex, who is known for not following the rules, which is great for Rook because he can't actually see or use magic, and typically people that don't have magic are not allowed to work with it or learn about it unless they're rich, because, you know, that's how the world works, right? But Rook is desperate to have the magic back for himself because his grandma was a witch. And his grandma has recently passed, and now he's trying to get that feeling again. This book is also about Sun. Sun is the apprentice of Antonia's rival and co-worker, I guess. Sun is less social, a bit more by the book and grumpy, but they are very good and adept at using the magic. They are a magic user witch person. The two become rivals themselves, but they slowly become friends throughout the book, the more that they see each other. And that's all I'm going to say about the plot, because I think you should just go read the book. It's so much fun. I loved it so much. What was I going to say? Yeah, I don't know. It's just really cozy. It made me cry, just tear up a little bit. I didn't cry. I teared up from like how happy the book made me feel at a point in my life where I just was not feeling very much happiness at all. So I think that also affected it, but I do think that it genuinely was that good. It's written well. It's just fun time. It's a fast-paced book. I think a lot of people could get really into it. Yeah. Did I watch the video you put in the laboratory? Let me see. No, I didn't, because you said that parasites, and I was like, I'm not ready to deal with parasites, so I haven't watched it yet. Sorry. I will though. And are you talking about toxoplasmosis? Because I know that's a thing. uh, what toxoplasmosis? Isn't that the cat parasite? Yeah, toxoplasmosis. Yeah. But maybe that's not what we're talking. That's not included in that video. Anyway, I'm gonna move on. Yay! Oh, that was it. Okay, the best sequel that I read. So I only read one sequel this year so far. Actually, I've been reading a lot of new books because I just I just haven't. They just haven't come out yet. Any of the books that will have sequels, they haven't released yet, except for this one, and that is Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo is the sequel to Ninth House, and it's part of the Galaxy Stern series. Um, it follows, so the series itself follows Galaxy Stern, but she goes by Alex. She's a girl from LA that has gotten into some dangerous, shady shit, basically. One day, after a horrific incident, she wakes up in a hospital bed, and she's offered a full ride to Yale. Why? Because she can see paranormal magic stuff that much easier than the average person can, and so she's asked to monitor Yale's secret societies because they all happen to be practicing magic and other occult stuff. There are a few mysteries afoot. There's a murder on campus, and Alex's higher-up guide is missing, and what about Alex's mysterious past? That's like the first book. The second book is just a continuation, and it's gross, if not grosser, than the first book. The characters are still very lovable. There's some found family vibes. They add in my least favorite of supernatural creatures, but that's okay. Narratively, it makes sense, and I overall really liked it. I have to say the chapters where Alex is really focused on her past life in LA were my least favorite. I didn't really like it. I don't think it added that much to the story, even though it did. I just didn't like it. I felt like it detracted from the story. But in the end, it all ties together, and like there's a definitive purpose for all the scenes that are within the book, even if I found it boring. So I'll give it a pass. I still liked the book, and I'm very excited for the third book in the series, but I don't know when it's going to come out. Cry. Cry. I wish I knew. The next one is new release you haven't read yet, but want to. I kind of had to do some thinking about this because I'm not sure. I'm kind of in like this emotional reading, like mood reading, like year so far where I'm only reading things that I'm like super interested and I pick it up, and then if it works for me I'll just devour it, and if it doesn't I just like put it down and I put it away for later. But new releases that I haven't read but want to, I found some. We have The Mimicking of Known Successes by Malka Older, which is a novella about it's a sapphic murder mystery on Jupiter. And I want to read it. And that's all I know about it. But I do want to read it. And the A Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon just sounds like a silly, fun book. We'll see, though. I'm not sure if I will. I'll definitely read Mimicking of Known Successes because that just sounds great. But I don't know if I'll get to A Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon this year. But maybe I will. Maybe I will. That's all I have right now, though. If you have books that you're looking forward to that are coming out this year, or that have already come out that you're looking forward to, let me know. Because I'm kind of always just like, what do I read? What do I read? And a lot of what I'm reading is 2022 releases, last year releases, because I pretty much only read Nancy Drew books last year. So anything that I had wanted to read last year, I'm now reading this year. So I feel like I'm a little behind, but the most anticipated release for the second half of the year, I also had to do some thinking on this one because I just don't know what's coming out, I guess. But I do know of one book that's coming out in August, the end of August, and that is Zhara, Guardians of Dawn by S. Jae-Jones. I've already read this book, and I have talked about it before. It was so much fun, and I'm really excited for people to like get their hands on it and read it. In fact, I'm so highly anticipating the sequel to Zhara, the next book. I'm just so excited. So basically this book is take magical girls, take Avatar: The Last Airbender world like building, and just like shove them together into a really fun, upbeat, magical, fun story. I really think it's like worth it. It's worth the release will be exciting. If I can find like a special like book cover release of it, I'm probably gonna buy it because I received this as an advanced reader's copy from NetGalley. The book is pitched as Zhara is pitched as Sailor Moon meets Cinder. If you don't know what Cinder is a book by Marissa Meyer, and it's like a Cinderella retelling. And I did not realize for like a lot of this book that this book is also kind of sort of, not really, but just a little bit a retelling of Cinderella until like the whole like the quintessential Cinderella scene happens, and I was like, oh yeah, ha ha. The lush style of writing really allowed for the characters to really come to life and feel at home in this Asian inspired fantasy. I don't know, it's good. I'm not gonna say too much about it. Just like read the premise and get it. Just read it when it comes out. You'll probably like it if you like Sailor Moon and Avatar: The Last Airbender and just like Asian fantasies, honestly. So yeah. My biggest disappointment I did talk about earlier, so I won't, or I did talk about earlier. I'm doing like these will probably be separated as VODs, but I'll post them separately. Anyway, sorry, that didn't make any sense. Let's go. Biggest disappointment is Babel by R.F. Kuang. Unfortunately, this book just didn't hit for me because I felt like I was getting beaten over the head. Like, just so you know, colonialism is bad, in case you forgot, even though you know that because you're an adult reading this book, and this book is intended for adults. But I feel like it's just a little too pointing, like pointing at the point in your face in the book. It's not a bad book. I think that R.F. Kuang is a talented writer. I think that the way that she's writing is good. You're right. Not every adult is aware of the fact that colonialism is bad. You're right. But I think that it's good to make the point, and make the point several times. And then maybe in the second half of the book, I don't need quite as many points. Because it was just like anytime like something like bad would happen, it'd be like, just so you know, colonialism is bad. Again. It's like, yeah, I think I got the previous 20 times. That's all. So, I mean, I have actually heard people that, like, really didn't know that, like, colonialism was a thing. They've gotten a lot more out of this book. So it's not like I don't think this is an important book. It was just disappointing to me because I do know. I do know the horrors. I've taken a lot of history classes. And I respect what she was throwing down. I just didn't necessarily like picking it up myself. It's about linguistics, and I really like linguistics. And the studies of linguistics, but to the point, I think the book at a certain point started to feel more like a nonfiction book about linguistics than a story about the Oxford's Revolution. That's not like the fantasy part of this book, basically. I wanted more fantasy. And I think, actually, no, the biggest thing that I'm disappointed in is that this is advertised as being like a fantasy book, but it's mostly just a historical fiction book. And that just always disappoints me. I think that's the actual number one thing, is that it is not it's not a sprawling fantasy book, despite it being called a fantasy book. And it's not even like magical realism. It's just like the fantasy elements are there to push the plot along. Which is not even it can work in some instances. It just didn't work for me here. So not a bad book. A lot of people like it. I'm just not one of those people. I think it's just okay. So, yeah. My biggest surprise... I had a hard time thinking about my biggest surprise this time. My biggest surprise was... there we go. The Genesis of Misery by Neon Yang. This is a book that's like Gundam, but Joan of Arc, and a lot of Neon Genesis Evangelion. This book really surprised me because I didn't think there was going to be a book I read this year that would make me feel so conflicted and love it and hate it so much at the same time. I think parts of this book are so like beautifully and eloquently written, just beautiful prose. Like this doesn't read like it's like this author's first like full novel. And I guess it's not because they wrote novellas, but still, it just reads very well put together. But there's like there's like little tiny bits of like, but why did you do it this way? Or why is this scene happening here? Or why are we just finding out about this character aspect now? And I realized now that it's because Misery is an unreliable narrator. But to the extent where I can't trust anything at all that she's saying, at all throughout the entire book. And I think it would have done really well if there had been like just like one chapter from someone else's perspective, just like giving me like okay, well, this is what Misery's saying, but this is kind of what really is happening at the very end of the book, though, just to pull it all together. But I still think it's great, and I will absolutely read the sequel. I just think it was like way more experimental and messy than I was expecting. Messy, and not in like it was written poorly, just messy as in Misery is a mess. So I don't know, I still feel so weird about it because there's like that one passage that talks about being non-binary, and I really appreciated that passage. Like I could really like relate to it. And there's like a bunch of other passages that I just thought were great. And just plot points too that I thought were great, and other things that just came out of the blue. It's a very interesting book, and just surprising, I guess, is the best way to put it. Like I just still don't know how to feel about it. Anyway, I'll move on before I talk too much and just repeat everything I said again. My favorite new author is, unfortunately, I was like, I'm just gonna put them on the list again. It's F.T. Lukens. I actually just bought one of their other books, and I am excited to read that as well. I feel confident to state them as one of my new favorite authors because I just love this book so much, and I thought that the way it was written was just so much fun. We also see there's One Piece. There's One Piece at the bottom here because I'm actually having a really good time with One Piece. And I think Oda Eiichirou is a brilliant author. I think that it's too much of an undertaking, I think, for a lot of people to read all 1,000 plus chapters of the manga, but he knows what he's doing, even if he's taking a long time to get there. And I think it's pretty cool. Yeah. I think that's all I have to say there. My newest fictional crush, I was like, who am I supposed to put here? Fictional crush who? Because I just didn't really have any. I don't really get that much, to be honest with you. But I'm playing through a visual novel called Winter's Wish, Spirits of Edo, and I'm halfway through it. And I just finished this character's route, and I think they are my new favorite character in an otome romance visual novel, so I guess they count. I guess they count. This is Yoichi. He is a vessel in this world. He's a little tsundere, but not very tsundere. He's guarded because of his sad past, but he's actually a very nice person. And I don't know, he's just so Trips coded, I guess, as a character. He has kind of red hair. He looks like he's grumpy and mean, but he's really nice. The actions, I guess the way that this particular route within this romance visual novel is written is just perfect. It has all the right plot points, where both the love interest and the heroine have like good what do I call it? Like they have good bonding moments, and they both grow from their own, like they grow on their own faults and grow into better people together. And I don't know, it was really cute. And also I just think he's so cute, and he loves to eat a lot, and I want to make him a cake and watch him eat it all. And that's all I have to say about that. I'll talk about it more when I finish the game. That was a weird thing to say out loud, but that's okay. I wanted to say it out loud. My newest favorite character is not Yoichi. It's actually Thimble. Oh, wait. Thimble! Thimble from Legends and Lattes. I think Thimble is just the best little ratkin, mousekin, whatever they are, ever. I want to forfeit all of my material possessions over to Thimble. I want to give him my entire kitchen to let him make more baked goods. I only want good things to happen to Thimble. I love Thimble. And I want to give them praise for their baking. Okay, that one's gonna be over now. A book that made me cry. Only one thing that I've read this year has made me actually cry. So you want to mother him? Yes, I want to be Thimble's mom. I want to be Thimble's mom. Alternate, not him. Oh, the other one? Yoichi? Yeah, I'd rather be Yoichi's mom too. It's like, it's not really a fictional crush. I just think his personality is cute, and I want to pat him on the head. And that's the closest I got. It's the same way I feel about Thimble, but I didn't want to have Thimble both times, so I picked somebody else. Honestly. Shrug, it is what it is. I don't get that many fictional crushes anymore. What can I say? Anyway, to talk about something more depressing, other than gushing about characters I want to, like, pat on the head. There's only one thing I read this year that made me cry, and that is One Piece. One Piece made me bawl my eyes out like really bad. Well, one for one, Oda's really good at like building up dramatic, emotionally moving moments. He really excels at it, I think, as an author. But there is just one moment in the post-war arc that just really spoke to me, I guess. It just really worked for me. And it just, I needed to read something like that, I guess. And I did not expect to have, like, to, I don't know, experience that kind of an emotional, moving experience in One Piece, but I did. And it was really good. Again, I think One Piece is a huge undertaking, so I totally understand if you do not want to read it. But if you do, if you read some of it, we are reading it in the book club, and we're not stopping. We're still going. It's worth it. It's really good, but it is a lot. So read it when you can, I guess, if you have any interest in it. But yeah, Oda is actually a very good author. And I stand by that statement. A book that made me happy. This was kind of difficult because I feel like a lot of books have made me feel good after I've read them. But I think the books that have made me feel happiest are the cozy fantasies I've read. So I kind of just have like a few of the cozy fantasies. I have Spellbound so many times. I just really love that book. I included Legends and Lattes because it's seriously just a feel-good story. There's like the conflict. There is conflict that should have really bothered me due to the content of the conflict, but it didn't because the whole story it's just kind of like a warm hug. I have One Piece on here too because there are just some like moments that were like, oh yeah, that made me like cheer and get really riled up, and not a lot of other books did that this year. Spellbound did, but Spellbound made me like laugh and cry and like love reading again, so it counts. It can be on here. So that's what I have for now. We'll see about what I read for the rest of the year, I suppose. Most beautiful book you've bought this year so far. So I haven't bought that many books this year. I just don't buy a lot of books. I tend to utilize my library quite frequently. So the most beautiful book that I bought though is a limited. Oh gosh, sorry. I had much water and now I'm like burping up water. I'm sorry. Anyway, most beautiful book that I bought so far is the limited edition print of Rose House by Arkady Martine. So I literally have one of the only 1,000 copies of this book. It is a beautifully printed book. It has like a faux cloth cover on it that's just feels really nice to the touch. It's signed by the author on the inside. I got volume number 231. I think the cover is really pretty too. Just great. I'm really happy I own it because it costs a lot more than your average book because it was published by a independent publisher, but it was worth it. I didn't even know it would be signed. This is like I have 2 signed books by Arkady Martine, and both times I had no idea they would be signed. So it's just a fun thing, I guess. All right. I think this might be the last question. What books do I need to read by the end of the year? Yeah, I think this is the last question. I have a bunch of books I still need to read. So I'm still doing my Buzzwordathon. It's like my reading challenge basically for the year, which is like each of these words, like weather words and body parts. I have to find a book that has specifically something like that in the title. So for July, I've chosen Heart of Mist by Heather Schurer, but I'm not going to be reading that book because I got to the 2nd chapter already, and I can already tell you I cannot read that book right now. So I think I'm going to be reading Black Sun by Rebecca Rowanhorse instead, because sun is a weather word, right? Yeah, I asked the person who ran that reading challenge, and they said yes, so whatever, it counts. So yeah, August, I have You Can Feel It Just Below the Ribs by Jeffrey Cranor and Janina Mathewson. Jeffrey Cranor is one of the creators for Welcome to Night Vale, so you might know that person. September, I have The Final Gambit. October, A Magic Steeped in Poison. November, Chaotic Good, and A Song of Wraith and Ruin for December. There's just some extra books that I bought this year. I have Foul Lady Fortune by Chloe Gong, which is a retelling of, I think it's a Chinese mafia retelling of Romeo and Juliet. I bought the special edition of this book because it was just really pretty. It's actually not this version. I couldn't find the special edition online, but I bought it. So I really need to read the book. I bought the sequel to the Atlas 6 called the Atlas Paradox. That sounds unique. Hi, Lunar. How's it going? Alice Paradox. The first book is about 6 students getting into an exclusive school, and at the end of their first year of the school, one of them will be killed, and they have to like try to learn as much as they can and like get as much intelligence or whatever information that they can so that they don't get killed at the end of the semester. Oh my god, have you seen the Romeo and Juliet with David Tennant and Patrick Stewart? No! I want to see that. What? And then I got this book recently as I had a free credit from Book of the Month. I was gifted one. So I got this book for free. It's called Inkblood Sister Scribe. It is a debut novel by Emma Torres, and it's about books and magic, and that's about all I know. Actually, that's about all I know. But I do want to read it. I started reading it the other day. But books I am currently reading, in case you're curious, I realized that I haven't read like any male authors this year. Not on purpose, I just haven't. So I started to read Kaiju Preservation Society by John Scalzi, which is kind of like Jurassic Park, but not dark, basically. I'm having fun with that book right now. And I started kind of reading Black Sun by Rebecca Rowanhorse. We are reading My Royal Awakening, which is a manhwa that's easily found available on any manhwa sites for the book club for July, and we're reading Punk Hazard arc for One Piece for July. And so that's what I'm reading right now. Thank you very much for watching this mid-year freak out tag video. I didn't answer all the questions just because I didn't have good answers for some of them, but thank you for watching regardless. If you did like the video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and you'll be notified the next time I upload, which should be relatively often. I have a lot of things that are coming out within at least the month of July and probably August and September as well. Thank you very much for that. And that's it for now. Bye!